Hi everybody, drawninjakc here. You know what the bread and butter of realistic drawings are? Blending. The ability to seamlessly blend one color into the other color is actually what makes realism work. So there's no hard lines in between the highlights and the shadows. Then that actually helps realism progress into looking more of what you expect an actual picture or actual person is supposed to look like. So today, I'm going to share with you some of the techniques that I use, some of the secret techniques. Ding, ding, ding! No, there's nothing secret about it. In this video, I'm going to share with you some of the techniques that I use that helps my hyper-realistic drawings and my portraits look more realistic. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to improve your techniques as well in terms of achieving your hyper-realistic goals. All right, let's go. Okay, so here we are. I've kind of grid off everything into categories. So I'll show you how to do marker blending for when I do realism with markers, and also with color pencils. This is what I do most of my portraits with. And also color pencil and charcoal. And also with one of these I'm going to do, because I also do use blending with markers and color pencils. So this one I'm just going to use a blending technique that I use when I use markers and color pencils together in an illustration. But we're going to start off with this one right here, which is a marker blending. Right? Now a lot of people think, and I guess it's natural to think, when you have a marker called Colorless Blender, which is this one right here, this is the marker Colorless Blender, that you should use this for all your blending. But I've found that the Colorless Blender is the worst thing to use for blending, and I'll explain to you why in a minute. We're gonna try to blend. We're gonna go with orange, right? This orange right here. This is a really nice orange. We're going to try to blend orange and red. Okay? Let's just get that going. Alright. Okay, we'll leave that there. Alright, so we have the orange down, and then we're going to put down the red now and try to make them blend seamlessly. Now when I use this technique, it really works well. I never blend markers with the Colorless Blender. I make little lines, and then what I usually use is when there's two colors that you're blending, the lighter of the two colors is what I use to blend both colors. So now that I have the red and the orange that I'm blending, I'm going to use the orange because the orange is the lighter of the two colors, and just kind of do little circles to try to get them blending and mixed up in there. And I usually what I would do would just color over the darker color with the lighter color. And just hit that area where the colors meet with circles until they're basically seamless. Seamless meaning there's no hard lines between the two colors. And there you have it. You have the red and you have the orange seamlessly blend into each other. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just to show you what I mean by not using the colorless blender, I'm going to do the same thing with the colorless blender and show you the difference that makes. Now the colorless blender has its uses, right? But it's not for blending. Mostly I use the colorless blender for highlights, believe it or not, because the colorless blender is good at lifting up marker color. So if you put down a dark marker, a dark color, or dark pigment on a part of a portrait or a picture, and then you want to just kind of lift it up a little bit, lighten it up, then you can go over it with the colorless blender, and it will either create a highlight or lighten the color itself. So that's good for that. Now with the colorless blender, you'll see once I start using it, it already starts lifting up the color. You see, it doesn't really blend the colors. It basically just erases the color. This is more of a marker eraser than a marker blender. And I've discovered that with most colorless blender markers that they really don't blend. They just kind of lift up. Maybe if I try, no, even if I'm hitting it softly, they just kind of lift up the pigment from the marker, making it lighter. So as you see right there, using the colorless blender, you're lifting up the marker, whereas when you're using the lighter marker of the two that are blending, you can seamlessly blend it. So we can definitely call this, we'll just say this is lighter marker, right? And this is colorless blender. So now you see the difference, right? Now also with marker, we're gonna put down, let's put down the orange again on this box, and we're gonna blend the orange into, or we're gonna blend the red into the orange. Now color pencil works great on top of marker, because it's just like working on top of the paper. And you don't, with the marker, once you put down the marker first, you really don't lose any of the tooth that you need for the color pencil. So it's okay to just work with the marker and the color pencil on top of that. Right, so now we have the red. I'm just gonna, and now this is where your sensitivity comes in terms of putting down the red. You can start with a hard red, right? And just kind of press down a little harder. And as you go down, of course, you just lift it up a little bit more. Lift it up in the paper slightly. And as you go more down, lift it up slightly until it kind of blends into the orange. Okay? Now this is not the end of the process. Okay. Now what you do use for blending color pencils on marker is something called, believe it or not, a colorless blender. There's a colorless blender color pencil, if you will, that has kind of like an abrasive point, and that kind of breaks up the color pencil. So when you want to blend that into the marker, just small circles, kind of press a little hard to break up the color pencil. As you can see, it's getting a little darker right there, and that's what you want, right? Because when you go down and you start to blend, it's going to get lighter because you already made it lighter. And you also supposed to lift up the colorless blender slightly as you go down, as to not make the blend too dark. Okay? Circles are always best for these things, and you have more control of it with circles. And just kind of slightly lift up. The fact that you didn't put down a lot of pigment before also helps. So just go over it until it blends. Again, circles are the name of the game here. Just kind of lean it on the side. Make it circular. And just think of making it seamless. Slowly, patience. Slowly, slow circular motions, and you'll be able to get that seamless, just like that. And this is marker and color pencil, right? Marker, color pencil. So now you see how we have it with using the lighter marker over the darker marker technique, right? And we have, this is the colorless blender technique, which is not our favorite technique because it really doesn't blend, it just lifts up the color. And this is putting down a marker first and then the color pencil over it, and then using a color pencil colorless blender to blend the red color pencil into the orange marker. So that works for that. Okay, so now we're going to use color pencil, and basically with the color pencils, the blending technique is basically the same but it is for the marker and the color pencil. Okay, so you would put down, let's say we're going to put down, let's put down two like totally different colors. Let's go with red, right, and blue. So we're going to put down red and blue color pencils. Okay. And just kind of put them down light, because once you start blending them, they're going to get darker. And again, this is all up to your sensitivity. So you can start dark, right? Now with the color pencil, you don't do it like with the marker and the color pencil. Meaning put down a solid color and then color over that. Each color has their own area, and then they meet in the middle, and that's where they blend. Okay, that's very important to know. So when they meet in the middle, that's where you get lighter and lighter and lighter. Gives them a chance to blend. All right. As you go up, you get darker. Come down, you get lighter. Same thing. We'll use a light blue for the bottom here, because it's such a different color, and we'll blend them in the middle. Again, start with the darker, start pressing harder. And then as you come into the next color, into the middle, you get lighter and lighter. And you do cross over into the next color, because that's where you're going to blend. Okay. Okay, so now with this, everything has to be, in order for this to be effective, everything has to be blended. Meaning all the red has to be blended down, or I could say varnished down. That's the name of the correct name of the technique, into the paper, right? And again, like with the marker and the color pencil, you press hard at the top, and as you get down, you can get softer. But you still want to give that other color room to blend. You still want to give that other color tooth to blend, and paper to blend. So you don't want to varnish the paper so much that it loses the tooth, because the other color still has to blend. Right? And then when you meet the other color, circles, 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 small small circles. And this is a very patient process because you don't want to end up with any hard edges. So you want to kind of softly start with the circles first, and then you keep going with repetitive circles into the blue. Carry some of the red into the blue, some of the blue into the red. And just keep circling and keep breaking down the color pencil pieces into each other. Keep kind of like grinding them together so much that they become part of each other. Then the circles get, and then at the blending point, you can also get a little more heavy-handed in terms of the circles, so that they blend better. And then you go into the other color, which is, in this case is the blue, and you just kind of varnish that into the paper. Again, circles, in terms of varnishing, circles are always the best bet. It doesn't leave streaks as much as like if you just go up and down. I like to use circles when I'm blending. Circular motion. Brush to brush this off. Can't find my brush anywhere. I'll just brush it off my hand. And there you have it. There's the blending right there of blue and red. That seems to have worked out really well actually. Okay. Now that's how you do it with the color pencils. You use a colorless blender. Now there are other ways to do it with the color pencil. In terms of blending, you can also use alcohol to blend, but I'm basically going to just show you the ways that I use that work. I'm not going to show you the ways that don't work because I think it's just a waste of time. Alcohol does break down the color pencils to where you can blend them, but the blending is terrible. It also warps the paper. So the best way to blend color pencils is two ways: with the colorless blender, which is a great way. I'm going to show you another way right now. I'm going to use two different colors, and it's called varnishing, right? So, and this is what varnishing is. So we're going to use the top color here. This is going to be the light color at the top, right? Now, I could say colorless blender. A great colorless blender is white, or even a lighter, like a French gray or something. But a great way to blend these colors is to use white. varnish them. And varnishing means just using white over them to like press them into the tooth of the paper. And again, small circles always works best for this. This is a great way to blend. And of course, where the colors meet, that's where you start to be a little bit more careful. You don't just, you lighten it up and then you just kind of start to easy and slowly get heavier with your hand, so that you still have tooth on the paper to blend. So you don't just go in and blend blend harshly. You just kind of slowly get more heavy-handed when you're blending. There. You can put more, like, if the white is too light, you put more pigment on there. You want to get the white in that area that connects the two colors where they blend, and then you can go back in and darken it up a little bit if you want to. Again, just slowly varnishing circles, blending them one into the other. There you have it. Okay, so this is the Colorless Blender, the Colorless Blender pencil. So this is the Colorless Blender. And this is the white varnish. Okay, so varnish. Okay, and so we have that. And now, so one other technique I'm going to show you is something that I use a lot with when I'm drawing, especially people of color. What I do is I use charcoal to do a lot of the shadows of their faces. So the charcoal works really well. I don't know why or how it does this, but it does create a great pigment. When I'm looking for little shadows and contrast the light parts of their faces. So usually this is a Conte crayon, but it's basically just a charcoal pencil. And basically I would put that down first. Okay? This is a darker one. Okay? So it actually works just like charcoal. So it works really well with color pencil as well. Okay, so I put that down first. And then I would take a stump and just smoothen it out. Smoothing it out into the tooth of the paper, getting lighter as I go. Because this will basically represent the shadows in the face of the person, right? And it's good to have that because the lighter colors, once I put the lighter colors over it, it fades it out. It's not really this dark, so it looks just like a natural skin tone after you do that. So for skin tone, let's say the person has, let's say the person has like this orange, these orange hues in their skin. Right? So we'll cover the charcoal with that. And one of the things about drawing realistic portraits is that sometimes you have to look at the portrait and see the different kind of tones that the person has in their skin, and then kind of all put that over each other and then varnish them together so that they all come out looking like one beautiful skin tone. You see already that the shadows or the shadows that I put down with the charcoal are already getting light. Yeah. And let's say they have a browner tone in their skin. That's fine. We can put that down too as well. Put that over the charcoal. And then go over again with that orange hue in the skin. And this has to be done very lightly. You don't varnish it into the paper. It has to be done very lightly because one of the secrets of realism also is layers. So you want to keep layering and layering until you get that realistic look. Layers is the secret to realistic skin tone. Just be patient and layer and layer and layer and layer and layer and layer, and before you know it, you have perfect looking glowing skin that looks realistic, and people will be like, oh, nice there. And then when you feel that you have all the tones down where you need them, then you can go in with the Colorless Blender that I used for the color pencil before, and just blend it all together. Again, being very gentle at first with circles. And like I said, I always use circles to do these blendings. I'm just gonna sharpen this here. Alright, so there we have it. And this actually looks pretty blended already, but to get the point across as to the best technique, I'm just gonna go ahead and blend it with this Colorless Blender. And light, gentle circles, the best way to go with these, 100%. Even if you have to keep going over the area again until it's varnished into the paper, light, gentle circles, the way to go. You don't want to lose any of the pigment because the skin tone is looking pretty decent. So you want to keep it consistent. You want to keep it gently blending into each other. And the color pencil that we put on top of the charcoal protects the charcoal, and the charcoal maintains that nice dark pigment of the skin tone. So now you're basically just grinding the color pencil and the charcoal into the paper together. So 2 becomes 1, basically. There you have it. Okay, and I mean, especially with this, you want to go in again with like the lighter color to kind of get any areas that may have been lifted up when you were doing the varnishing. But going in with the lighter color is actually a great idea. Same way it works with the lighter color markers, is that you just kind of blend it and varnish it a little bit more. Makes it a little bit more seamless. And then you just basically just color the whole thing with the lighter color. Yes! We have no bananas. And there you have it. So this is the charcoal. And color pencil with the color pencil colors. And there you have it. Alright, so we're not really fans of the colorless blender for the markers, so we're gonna go like this with this one. I'm just gonna put that there and then put like the big old no over it, right? What works for us is the lighter marker over the darker marker. The marker and color pencil work with the colorless blender. The colorless blender for the color pencil works. The varnishing with white works. I think the colorless blender, between the two of these, I think the colorless blender works a lot better than the varnishing with white. I would say maybe 97% of the times when I'm doing a portrait, I use the colorless blender to blend my colors, unless there's some areas that I think would require varnishing, and that would be left up to you. You'll know what to do there. And the charcoal, and again, the charcoal. Using the charcoal for people of color, I don't always use it, but sometimes I feel that I need to use it because of how the lighting falls. And every time that I've used it, it's actually turned out really well. So, well, I hope that was very informative for everybody. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to answer. And if you if you have any suggestions for any videos that you'd like to see me do, any tutorials, please also put them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe and click that notification bell so you know when I put up a video, which is, I guess, every day these days, because I really want to get your subscriptions. So, thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on this quest to becoming better artists. And as usual, I will see you next time.